Her body name is Bhavna, and she's worked in oncology for 7 years. And every day she witnessed many deaths there. And it is there that she realized how limited the body is, and there's so much more happening beyond it. And around 25 years ago, she used to receive certain messages, divine messages, energies that are present at the time of death, but ignored them at that time because her purpose was not clear, nor it was the right time to understand and explore that deeply. But the same question kept coming back up: who am I? So the question led to an answer that she is a soul and the soul is on a journey. And after that, she began to explore and understand the soul's journey. And that's when she felt that in order to truly understand death, there's a need for soul-based palliative care, and that's what she offers in can you say how it's said? I'm not able to read that out. Anitma Yatra?
Antim Yatra.
Antim Yatra, sorry. Yeah, that's just my dyslexia. Antim Yatra, which it roughly, vaguely translates to the final journey the soul has on earth. Um, yeah, welcome, Bhavna. Should we jump into the questions I have for you today?
Yes, yes, Lakshmi.
Yeah. Um, yeah, maybe we can do a first few 4 questions that you answer, whatever response come to you first, uh, like a quicker way of doing it. Then we'll go into the deeper questions.
Mhm.
Of all the people you've worked with, what is one death that you'll never forget?
Oh, one of my client who was with a tracheostomy. So that sound of that breath was very, very different. So that is what I love when someone dies. At that time, the breath sound becomes very different than the normal.
Yeah, what about it was significant for you?
Because when the elements are, because we all know that we are made up of 5 elements, everybody knows about it, and everywhere there are 5 elements. So those 5 elements, when we die at that time, all the 5 elements one by one, the first one is earth, and then it like unwind and dissolve. So at that time, they, when the doctors are also saying that there are some kind of sign and symptoms. So when I have started seeing the soul based palliative care, at that time all the elements are also have to dissolve, and it at a certain period of time. So at that time when the earth is dissolving, the death, I mean, I always talk about the active dying. So when I am talking about active dying, it means that person is maybe 80 years old, 90 years old. It means you have lived your life very like the way you have to live, and because now your element is dissolving. So at that time, there is also a breath sound like air. When the air is dissolving at that time, the breath has become different. It is noisy. It is like कि कोई city बजा रहा है. That kind of sound will come at that time. So all those experiences of mine, like I was in, because we always have that intuitive knowing that something is happening. When something is happening and when it is intuitive, then that is the space of sacredness. Because we are also, death versity is also not only talking about death, but it is also talking about the sacredness. And that we have to understand how to hold that space for someone who is dying, because so much of things happen at that time.
And this particular person you worked with, their sound was very unique, and that's why like that's why it came to you.
I still I have that the goosebumps. So I still have that sense of uh, being also. As soon as I heard, I mean, I remind it every time I feel that okay, something has happened. So it doesn't mean that everybody will go through it, but most of them can go through it, and that would be more visible, more noisable, so you can understand that how people die, you know. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Um, Maybe can you tell us, have you thought about this? And if you have, what would you like done with your body when you die or pass?
I want let it be on fire, because that's the
Mm,
thing to, like, go. Last time we were in Ahmedabad, and something that they have started kind of a talk about death. So that time I was there, and we were in a cremation ground. I lie down on that, and I just wanted to feel that how would I feel when someone is on deathbed there in a cremation ground. I was there, and then I came to know that, I am not going to come here. As soon as I will die, my body will come here. You are going to transmute at the same time, so only your body is going to come. It's better, like, it should go into an ash. Yeah.
mm, mhm. Can you tell us what is one thing that death taught you about life?
Look, I have discovered one thing in my life, that death and birth is opposite. Life holds both of them. So people say that death and life are opposite, but it's not true. The truth is that birth and death, but birth also has life and death also has life. So you're not going anywhere. You are still on a journey, because I wrote that when I came to know that I am a soul and the name of my body is Bhavna. When you came to know, so when you know that you are a soul, that at certain time there are so many gurus, there are so many teachers, they in the spiritual scriptures also, every even Bhagavad Gita is also saying about it, and we have not yet reached to that, and we have not yet like understood. Abhi tak to nahi pata hai, but the time comes when you become an observer. You need to become an observer before saying that I am a soul. Something happens to me, and that is why now I have realized that I am a soul. So soul is continuing that journey. I saw so many past life when I have some of the conversation with some of the client, those who are on deathbed in coma, and they cannot talk to people, they cannot convey their messages to the loved one. Then from there I have realized that, look, you're not dying. You're changing this costume every time. You are an actor, and you are in a drama that you have to act something. You have come on this earth to experience something, to learn something in your life. So on that day I realized that, okay, look, you are not dying. You are simply passing the pathway, and you are on a journey, and you
Yeah,
have.
birth and death is a part of your soul's journey. Sorry, I think I overspoke and I didn't hear what you were saying.
So I was saying yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, one more quick question before we go into like the more in-depth ones. Um, we all have clear senses, right? Like of smell, intuition, hearing, seeing, and all of that. So if death had a smell, what do, is it like a certain smell? What would it be? Have you experienced this?
I think it's just a peace for me. There is no smell of it. It's a sense of peace. It's a sense of love, unconditional love, I would say.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Um, I want to ask you, so you've said in your introduction that your body name is Bhavna, right? Um, can you tell us a little more about what brought you to this soul deep awareness of who you are? You shared some, just a little more in depth.
Okay. Okay. So, I think it had my journey before also, but I was really not focusing on it. So it is more on death. So one of my father-in-law's brother or the dada was about to. I mean, he was simply sitting somewhere and having chai and everything. And I went there and I asked that, Dada, how are you? How are you feeling? Because you are not well yesterday. So as soon as I said, and suddenly in my ears, when we are talking about those senses, so suddenly someone came and told me that he's leaving tomorrow. And that was my first experience when I was in a village, and I came to know that, oh dada, but from my heart that has also came. I couldn't say to this person that dada, you are dying tomorrow. So that was the first message after 25 years of my work on oncology. Before I was working, and then I came to know, okay, dada is going. And on that day I realized that, look, the body is going to die. This was my first experience with someone again coming, and I saw a beautiful angel on his left side. It was so beautiful. It was having a kind of peace within me, and I realized that someone is there. And from there I have started reading some books, and all those books, they have also told me that, look, when you die, at that time angel comes. And that's really true. If And there are so many more death dollars in this world, and they see all the angels. So we have so many experiences like that, those who are dead dollars. So I am a dead dollar, and because I started.
Bhavna mentioned that her power might go off like this. I think she'll just join back when when she's connecting from her phone or something.
So we'll just wait, right?
Yeah, let's just wait for a moment. Somehow today there's been a lot of power cuts for Bhavna. Oh, she's back. Hi, back. You're back.
हाय 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 मैंने पहले ही बोला था ये कुछ तो होगा. यस.
Yeah, that's okay.
हम्म.
You got cut off when you were talking about how death doulas keep having these experiences of witnessing the
Yes.
angels and the spirit realm.
Yeah. And the second experience, just to understand why I am saying that I am a body. And the second experience, when I was like sudden separation from my husband.
Mm.
So at that time I came to know through some of the experience, like the first experience I had, even I was in an antipsychotic, antidepressant, and I was in a sedative also for 2 months. That was really very sudden to me, and it was a shocking for news for me that, okay, he doesn't want to be with me. But after 2 months of my deep depression, the only one thing, my past life guru, I don't know from where he came, and in the dream, I literally and simply I got a very beautiful message that तुम भूल गई हो कि तुम soul हो. Did you forget that you are a soul? And from there, I took that first gyan of mine from my guru, and I started, like the next day I asked to my mother-in-law, I said, Meko wo japne wala de de, because I was not within me. I was in deep depression. I started saying that I am a soul, I am a soul. And from there, this is the second experience of mine that the guru came. And then I came to know, okay, something is there, and I started reading more books on it. Then there are so many more experiences in my journey, and then my angels has also already came. So because of that, why I am saying that we need to become an observer. There are so many people that even the Krishnamurti has the first uh, I mean, I would say that the first thing which Krishnamurti has said, the wisdom is to become an observer. So when you become an observer, and you become an observer through those senses, your 5 senses, which is already written in the Bhagavad Gita again. So yeah, there are so many experiences then. And then
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
I was gonna ask you for more actually. If you can share like some other defining moments that showed you this path. I know this was like the first few defining ones, and like lot of our stories who do this kind of work, you said it's some kind of a life event that was catastrophic, and that you had like a spiritual kind of breakthrough, and then it started. But what other defining moments has there been since?
Hmm. So I have some experiences, like, like, I would rather say that this society, we are in a society, we have some dominant culture. So, and this dominant culture has structured everything, which they have separated spirit and energy both, and then again energy and matter also, they have separated each and everything. So they turn that death really into a physical process. So when I came to know that death is not something that which is only the separate, it is only just, it is true that it is a separation of spirit and body, you know, but being a dead dola, I came to know that death is a catastrophe, that which you have used this word, and it's very beautiful word, but I would rather say that death is a blessed catastrophe, which is beautifully holding the paradox, which is catastrophe plus it is a heart pain, both are together. So we need to become an observer. And why I have become an observer, and I started becoming an observer maybe 10 years before, when I was unschooling my children. So it has naturally came within in my life that I am watching my bachas and I cannot intervene. I just wanted to learn how do they learn, what are they talking, what are they doing, how do they sense, and I should not go into it, right? So from there I came to know, this is my second experience, that when I came to know that there is a research also that between 7 to 12 years of age, children show what they wanted to become. So I came to know, okay, my kids are doing something which is really, I haven't taught them, no one has taught them. So I came to know, okay, this has been coming from their past life. So you have that, you have that traits, you have that habit, you have that gift to again show in your next life. So when I was also like started my life after my separation from my husband, and then I came to know, like, when I am sitting somewhere, because I became a meditator also. So when I am sitting behind someone or beside someone, I started, like seeing someone's past life. So this has also came in my life, and I was like, and I was really not ready, Lakshmi. I was not at all ready for all those experiences that I had been going through. But later I came to know that, okay, I have to understand this. And then that Antim Yatra has come. Antim Yatra it was not before. Antim Yatra has been given by the divine, that you have to work because you have this gift to listen to the soul. You can listen and you can see the soul or the angels behind someone who is dying. So from there I came to know, like, okay, I have to listen to them, and then I have to start this job. This is the purpose of my life. Before I was also questioning that who am I, it's okay, I was asking, and later I came to know that I am a farmer. I said, okay, I am a farmer. I have to do farming. I want to be, be in a eco-friendly house. I will build this or that. But life will show you the main purpose of your life. If you are going through the mind, and then it is not true. So you we need to become an observer, and you become an observer when you are really present. When you are present, then when you have your own sacredness connection, when you have your own self, when you are slowing down, when you are really using your senses. So when I was in a depression, I came to know that I have to, because I don't know how to meditate at that time. You cannot sit when you are in a deep depression, when you are suicidal in your life. So I started using all those five senses. If I am eating, I am eating, I am tasting, and I am listening. And if I am in a bathroom, I have to be there in the bathroom, tap on kar diya, and then listening to that water, jo pani aa raha hai. And then it was for 6 hours of my practice. And then I became an observer. When you are there, when you are using all your senses, you can't seek anything outside. It is all inside you. So those 6 months of my practicing with mindfulness, by you're sensing and sensing and sensing, you're not anywhere. You are practicing being there. You are practicing how to be present at that moment. So I feel that that was the only thing, because we are also talking about the practices in between. So these practices has made me to understand that, look, you are a soul. You are not a body. Through body, you can be an observer because the senses are in the body. So before you reach to an observer, you need to conquer everything. And if you will conquer it, that senses up control, you know how to control it, you know how to be there, then you become an observer. Am
Yeah,
I making
yeah, I'm hearing that. So for you, in your path, even though I guess the spirit world or the universe is always trying to show us our soul's path, and uh, you're talking about how you had to practice to be an observer to actually finally listen in some ways, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, that's beautiful. I wanted to ask you, um, there are some texts that talk about how life is a preparation for death. And your work usually is with palliative care. Do you ever feel like if you could have like been an intervention at an earlier stage in their life, things might have been different? Or what do you think about this statement, life is a preparation for death?
Yeah, this statement is really true. I think one day we have to also understand that one day I have to leave this body. I have started this because everybody was talking about everything nowadays. Before we were not talking about sex. Now we are talking about sex. Before we were not talking about money. Now we are talking about money. Everything is open. But no one is talking about death. When I started talking about death, they were started saying, "Chup ho ja, abhi kuch ho jayega." That was the line I heard so many times. Kuch ho jayega. So how fearful you are. Even though you know that that time is supposed to come, any time it can come. The certainty is there. है ना? So at that time, I think I missed what was the question?
Yeah, have you ever I'm asking you, this life being a preparation of death.
So
Uh,
that yes. So because of that, I came to know that no one is ready to die. Everybody thinks about like if somebody will die, then what will happen? If my daughter will die, if my father will die, what will happen? But no one says that if I die, what will happen? They will not say. We don't have that sense or the practice to say I. We always blame people. We always see other person because we have been practicing, we have been conditioned by that saying someone that अगर इसके साथ कुछ हो जाएगा तो क्या होगा, इसने मेरे साथ ऐसा किया. So because of that reason, I came to know that okay, we have to prepare for the death. And Antim Yatra works on it. I work with the family members. I work with those people whose family members are in a hospital with critical illness, in a when they are in a like in a oncology. I mean, cancer clients are there. So even it doesn't mean that this person is dying who is critically ill, or this active dying, that this person is 95-year-old or 80-year-old, but the grieving is there, no? So you are grieving also at the same time. The family members are also grieving. So we need to understand the skill. It is a skill. When we don't know how to run or deal with the computer, then what do? We learn how to, like operate this computer. Death is also same. If you don't know how to die, how would you live then your life? It is a say that if you know how to die, you know how to live. So when you know that you are going to die, then definitely you will structure your life in a beautiful way. You will put some flowers, fragrance, and everything in your life. You will be happy because you won't get again. Yes, you will get again, but definitely we have come to this life to make it more beautiful. Be happy and at peace. So this is the reason why I have started Antim Yatra, and I have seen so many cases in a soul journey, that when you don't forgive someone, this is the very beautiful process which I have inculcated. I started teaching them that when someone is dying, at that time you need to forgive them. So that this is a healing process when someone is dying, and you need to love. So when you don't know how to forgive, then again, like you are also creating that energy that again you will have to come to learn how to forgive on earth. So forgiveness is the one which is a spiritual, spiritual practice that everybody has to do that. And why forgiveness has came in my life? Because I was really not forgiving my ex-husband. Because of no reason, I have to listen that, oh, I don't want to be with you. What can I do at that point? But later, after 2 or 3 years of my separation, I came to know that forgiveness is really very important. And because I have that blessing of the God, the divine, the angels are behind me. They started showing me that, look, you haven't forgiven him in your past life. I saw the whole past life of mine with my ex-husband. I said, oh my God, what can I do? And then he said that break this cycle. You have to break this cycle because he didn't forgive you in this birth. You have to forgive this man. When you do this practice of forgiving, I am telling you, Lakshmi, like that love becomes more visible then. Because it's a healing. So when you forgive someone, then you feel more loved. You are loved. You don't feel it, but you feel that you are loved. And then the point came in my life that I started loving him more than before when I was with him. I love him before. I feel that, okay, it's his journey, it is my journey. I have to take care of the journey of my soul because I am responsible. I don't want to carry all those burdens. So when these things has been coming in my life, that is why I say that I am on a journey. I am a soul. I am not a bhavana. If you want to see me as a bhavana, it's okay. But something is inside. There's something which you cannot see are there. That sacredness, again I would tell that this is the sacredness. When someone dies at that time, I always says the deathbed is a sanctified, dedicated to the god. It's a space, it's a magical liminal space, it's a sacred space, sanctified space. You know that sacred, why I am saying this is a magical liminal space, because they occupy both the spaces. They are here and they have some kind of a test drive. When they have to die, in between they have a test drive. They cross the river, they go and see the angels, and ancestors are coming, they talk to the ancestor, and then again they come to the body. So the whole process of Antim Yatra is talking about that, please take care of this soul. They are dying, but everything is so beautiful. We should understand that they have a different language of saying it. So the Antim Yatra has designed in such a way that how would you take care of this soul? Because so many things happen to them. They go back also when there are some elements which are dissolving at the same time. They are, like they are crossing the river, आगे क्या होने वाला है, and they also go behind all the big events of their life. They see their own their this life, एक रील चलती है उनकी. They see all the events, and at that time, why they see all the events? Because it is a divine purpose, it is a divine like principle and law there, that you have to forgive if something has happened behind. Now you are leaving your body. If you want to forgive someone, if you want to give love to someone, the portal has opened for you to do that. Otherwise you have to come back.
How does one forgive? Are people always able to forgive?
No, it's not compulsory. It's not like they have hurt a lot. I mean, what I am saying is that in forgiveness, I have learned one thing, that when you expect, when you put so many conditions to love someone, then forgiveness is very difficult. If someone has hurt you one time, he or she has said one time anything and it hurts you, this person has gone after doing that. But when you are reminding it for months and months and then years and years, then it has been 25 years and 30 years that this person has done this to me. He gave me this word or abusive word. My parents has abused me. Like they have done it for one time, but you have been repeating it, and you are carrying all those emotions in your body.
Now
Now
I have a question here. Sorry to interject. But
yes.
it's not about carrying the grudge, but what if the person is repeatedly abusive to you, and for 25, 35 years they are repeatedly abusive to you in various ways, in new and innovative ways? Then how do you forgive that? Can you forgive? So you forgive also.
Kalashri, why did we allow for 25 years? Don't we have that intellect buddhi that you have to kick him or her and go
No,
out?
but sometimes it is not possible because it's a parent or something, a spouse. You can get divorced.
Chalo, very nice. I would rather say, I will say, tell you. I came to know 3 years back only that my mama was a narcissist. I didn't heard a name narcissist. And when I was 21-year-old, till 21-year-old, itna marti hai, itna marti hai. I was like, I couldn't understand why I am getting this. खाना नहीं दे रही है, डंडे से भी मार रही है, गचूटी पकड़ के भी खींच के बाहर नाली में डाल रही है. And then I left my home when I was 22-year-old. I am telling you. Then I came to know that, okay, you are not supposed to be there, but talk to them and keep some boundaries, because I was not a person who can do that. And I came to know later when my husband was like, when I got divorced, at that time, when I forgive my husband. At the same time, some divine power was there, and I also use my intellect. I mean, buddhi use kar behan, and forgive your parents also, because you haven't forgiven them. And the reason behind was, when I came to know that I am a soul. So soul has decided. So I had decided now that I will come to this mother. I will come to my parent. This is they would be my parents, and they will torture me. They will kick me, and then from there, when I will learn something, what is that something I have to learn being on this earth in this birth? The day I will learn that, they will turn into an angel. This is what I have decided. And every soul journey, everybody has decided that they would be my parent, they would be my husband, and my husband would do this and that. Then my actual journey will start. It is not about the earth is a learning school. We have come to this earth just to learn something. So we have invited all those. So this is the story which I know, and I have studied so many books on soul journey, and everybody is saying in a different sentences in a words, but the conclusion is this: it's a free will. Earth is a free will, and the other one is that it's a school. It's a big school. You are here to complete your karmas. Okay.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I wanted to ask, one thing what I'm understanding is, as a death doula, you'll teach people to forgive. Um, what else does that entail as a death doula? What does your work look like, and what do you what do you say or do when when you're with someone in their final days? Uh, um, and yeah, what do you say or do when you're with someone on the final days?
Okay. So, Death Dola, my work is to let the relatives, the family members, and the nurses and doctors, they also know that when these five elements are dissolving, what are the sign and symptoms of it? And when it happens, then what to do, what not to do, right? So, this is the first thing, that if someone is on active dying, then this happens. And whether the children is supposed to be there when someone is dying, when you are grieving, how to hold that space, how to bring some of the rituals are very important for me, because like, when you know that someone is dying, you should bring some of the rituals based on the element, based on the energy. What energy are you feeling at that time? What element are supposed to be used? Like, like we are using earth element, we use fire, we use water, some fragrances, and everything. So how do you cope up with that situation? And the last one, which I always says to everybody, when someone is dying, when it is an active dying, it means when someone is really old, please, I really request them to don't bring them to hospital, because death is a village making event. They need everybody. They want to see everybody. They want to eat their last, food also sometimes. They wake up for, I mean, kabhi they come back, even though they are not talking to you since 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. But one day comes, the law is there, the divine power gives them some time to see everybody, those who are in the family, even though they wait for them. So I request everybody, please forget about the society, what the society will say, what my brother will say, what my sister will say, that you didn't even take them to the hospital and it is your fault. So, like, they go in a guilt, that my parents, that someone who is dying on bed, I haven't take I haven't taken any support of the medical department. You should not take that, because you have to use your buddhi that now this is the time. Body is no more now. जब गाड़ी खराब हो गई है, you cannot do anything. How can you drive that? Definitely you will have to leave this car, because it is no more now. It is dying. So at that time, my request to everybody that please don't take medical support. That is very because sacred net is not confined to temples and rituals and everything. That is a sacred space in your own home. That room has become the temple for you. The angels are there. The ancestors are also there. Since many years you have been doing Pitra Puja, and when your Pitra has come to take them, and you are supposed to go out of the home, what are you doing? You have to make it sacred. The whole house has become something that you are receiving. Even if you become an observer, I mean, in my course, I also say to them that how can you create that space that you can also receive those messages. I am the only person who is receiving, but how can you receive that space, messages from the angel? How can you also do the same thing? I teach them how to do that, but you need to become an observer. You have to bring that white light. You have to bring that love inside you, in your own heart. That oneness is really important. This is all about Antim Yatra. And you have to give the chances. Even if you are not in an active dying, then you can do. I mean, some of them are very critically ill. So you have more space, that you can plan how to die. You have your unfinished business, you can do that. Bring it together, everything which is really very sacred. So your breath is sacred, your silence, like the way you are silent, being in that silence, that between that breath, that pulse of your heart, they are all sacred. So this is a sacred space. We should talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you work with different stages of people, right? Like people who are actively dying, and also people who have terminally ill people, right?
Yes.
So what is every person's inner work around death? You did talk to it in the previous things that you answered, but can you specifically tell us what does that inner work look like, other than forgiveness and bringing in the observer or becoming the observer? How do we begin preparing emotionally, energetically, and practically for our own dying? Even to the audience here, what could we all do?
Yeah, it is very difficult. It has been very difficult for me also, when I ask them that are you ready to die or something like that. So one of my practice, I would like to share that this practice has been coming from, I think, Buddhism. Yeah. So I have a beautiful glass, a cup. So I usually take my tea in that cup, but at night, when it is like, then at night before sleeping, I turned it upside down. That whether I would be alive tomorrow or not. Because when you have to understand what death is, we also need to understand how can I train my mind.
I don't understand the cup thing. You turn it around,
तो
turn it
कप
upside down,
कप को उल्टा कर देना है.
and that signifies, it's like a symbolic thing.
You are saying to your mind also with action at night that I don't know tomorrow I would be here or not. I won't, maybe tomorrow I won't be able to use you. So you are training your mind. The first thing is that you need to train your mind to understand that I would die one day and someone is supposed to die. So it doesn't come immediately. So you need to tell to your mind also. So every night when we sleep, we all die. So this is one of the thing that we have to also understand. Some of the things are need to be, like understand by the mind. Some of the things we need to learn. Some of the things we need to read, and we should have that eye or to see the truth of life, because everywhere there is a death. So if someone is dying or someone is on deathbed, we need to train our mind by going there, talking to the person, those who are dying, taking care of them, talking to them, you know. Go to a funeral places also. If someone is inviting you, then many of them, they don't want to go into that. But we have to, like stretch ourselves, come out of your comfort zone and then visit, and also acknowledge it and observe it and tell yourself that one day my body is supposed to be here. So these are some of the small practices that we have to do it.
Yeah, prepare ourselves for the certainty of the death rather than the uncertainty of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. That's very valuable. Um, I wanted to ask some, these are all understanding that you have from your experience, I hope. But also, although there's like not with a lot of certainty, we can say that this is the case because this is a perception we have. The next few questions are it's about the spirit realm. It's about like what happens after we die. Yeah, just want to, yeah, would it be okay to say this is your understanding you've made from your learnings and the perspectives you gained? Yeah. So I wonder if so you're talking about ancestors visiting us, and there is this we also hear of ghosts, dead people haunting us. Is there a difference between these two souls of where they are?
Yes. I think there are so many questions in one question.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So let me share one thing. My near death experience. There is two things in near death experience. There is a near death experiences and there is a shared death experience. So in shared death experiences, what happened when someone is sitting somewhere and they sense it, they feel it that someone has died. They get that intuition that is called shared death experience. And near death experiences, in near death experiences, there are so many beautiful books. And one of the book is, which I really like it, that is from the Anita Murjani, Dying to Be Me. And Dying to Be Me. And there are so many, more YouTube talks of her also. So one of my near death experience. So I came to know through when I was in a hospital and I was delivering my third daughter. On that day I delivered because of the cesarean. I was going through a severe pain. And then the nurse came and that man came and he had put some injection into the bottle. And because I was also working, I was also practicing nurse. So the little bit of maybe 2 or 3 ml of saline water was there. I thought that let me regulate this and then I would be able to sleep. Then I will be sleep. So what happens at that time? The regulator I turned on and all the water, that saline water has suddenly, uh, I I mean, it has gone inside my vein in a bloodstream. But I forgot that this injection, what he had put in, has settled it down there. And suddenly, and it was an opioid. And suddenly, I went into a black hole. And no one knows. All my mother-in-law was there, and they are thinking that I am sleeping, no one knows. But on that day, I have experienced very little bit of near-death experience, that it was a black hole. I'm going inside it, and it was very silent. But one one small light, which was very sharp, he came to me and said that this is not the right time to come here. You have to go back. It is an accident. So that white light has pushed me in such a way that again I came into a body. And there were so many talks with that white light. Some of them were there taking care of me in that hole, but I don't remember it. Later, I came to know after some years of my life when I started practicing meditation and this and that. But that experiences of mine has told me that when the time will come, at that time only you have to go. If you have your purpose here and if you have not yet done your purpose, you have to come back. And you are here for some reason. Every little microbes, like which are in the ocean, are important. Without them, we cannot do anything. The tiniest microorganisms are important on earth. So I am also important. Every single being are important. So this is what I understood. Then the next one is that when you are talking about the spirit and ghost and everything, so when the angel comes, so there is so there is a big difference between elder and older. There are so many old people on this earth. They don't have any insight or a wisdom. When they will die, they don't come. They don't come to you. Only your gurus will come. So the ancestor which I am talking about, so maybe my ancestor, my blood ancestors, they are not my gurus. Maybe my ancestors were, like rapist or a murderer. They will not come. They are in a different realm upstairs, kahin par. So the ancestors, what I mean is, they are your gurus. They come to you. If they are a good soul, they have reached to a certain level of consciousness. So you have a different consciousness. If you have reached to some consciousness, then only those ancestors will come. And they are not from the blood. So there is a big difference between ancestor, elder, older. So those stupid souls will not come. And right now, what I know also that there are so many old souls. Old souls meaning when they have come more than 50 times, 60 times, 70 times, they know what does it mean to be on earth.
Mm.
So they come to you. They will show you the path. Sometimes I read in one of the book that it was all about hypnosis and something like that, hypnotic therapy. A therapist has written this book called Journey of a Soul. Very big
Mm.
book. He has one of the client, when he was on a hypnotic bed, at that time he said that no one has come to take me when I died last in my last birth. So he asked, this doctor asked that why didn't you see anyone? So he said that I am an old soul. I know the path how to go.
Mm.
So if someone is coming to take you, it means you don't know the path. That is why they are supporting you and helping you. But if you know, if you have come so many times and if your consciousness is high, if you know that where should I go, then you go. So these are the things. Now the other thing is that there are so many ghosts and we talk about. So they all are the accidental cases.
Mm.
So some of them, they are attached with you.
Are there souls already passed and this is just like a memory or the ghost of it? Or are those souls?
Yes. So the souls, those who are not attached to you. Sometimes, you know, like our parents, they say, what will my daughter will do? What would happen if I will, you know, like go and this or that? So they stay here. It is their own choice. They don't want to transmute into the white light. They wanted to be here, but they don't know that they don't have that power to support you. They forget about it.
Hmm.
Because of that attachment, they stay on earth. Sometimes some accident happen. So I have one client. So I am a karma healer also. So I
Hmm.
see someone's past life and then I heal the duality. I mean, they have some beliefs, they have so many things in their chakras. So I do chakra healing and I see their past life, that from where it is coming from, the root of that belief. So one of my clients, she's very upset because every time they are having so many spirits in their house. So when she came to me and I saw, I said, I mean, I was so surprised that they have more than 10 or 12 spirits in their house. So all those spirits, why do they come? Because her son was an black magician in one of his life, and he captured all the souls, those who are when they die. So he has that capacity, that power to capture them, and he tortured every spirit. Now he has gone, mar gaya, and still those spirits are waiting for him to go with the revenge. So then so the healer has to, you know, like talk to the spirit that why are you doing this? You have to transmute yourself. So we talk to the, I mean, personally, I talk to the spirit and then I have to let them go. Please go. So you need to talk to them very politely. They are good souls. When you will talk to those spirits, those who are earthborn, it is so beautiful. They will tell you each and everything. They wanted to really go up. They don't want to stay here. So it's
And
just
we can help them transition after they've died also, like when they are visiting
definitely.
us.
Yes.
Hmm. Interesting. That's really interesting. Sorry, did you want to say something else?
No, nothing.
Yeah, wow, it's been the 1 hour's over. Uh, yeah, I have so many questions about all of this, but yeah, we want to respect the time of everybody who came here also. But I want to take a couple of minutes, if it's all right, and ask about, you know, how we keep talking about in eco-versities and sacred versities to everybody should start their own sacred versities. We're moving away from the mainstream to many streams. Each of us can seed our own multiversity, right? In that way. So for you, death is the teacher, and death versity is the sacred realm that you're working on. What would you say to someone who is hearing their own call? How can one start their own sacred versity?
Hmm. Look, everything is very sacred. You know, like that marriage is sacred, the birthing is sacred, the flower is sacred, the garden is sacred, even your bathroom is sacred. Because no one, you know, like touches you there, no one knocks you there. I feel that that's the best place to be. So, you know, everything is very sacred as soon as you go into that sacredness, but the silence is very important. Sacredness means you can really do anything with versity, but if it is really your path, if it is really you want to work on, if you're a gardener, if you're like we have a farm versity also. So if it is your calling, then go with that. If you are doing anything, even if you are a doctor, if you are a lawyer, if you are anything, you can be there, you can make it sacred. Because if you are working with the purity of your heart, when if you have that purity of your heart, then you can do with that. You have that calling, and you are not like exhausted with your work. If you are exhausted with your work, it means that's not your purpose. If you are doing 24/7, and even if it is giving you so much of energy and you are still want to work on it, then that's the sacred space for us to work on it. I think this is more than enough.
Yeah, that's perfect. Hopefully, we hear about a
I'm a dreamer
bathroom
also.
varsity soon. Sorry.
Become a dreamer also, because when you will be, you are an actor on this earth. As per my understanding of a body and soul, you are an actor, you have to act here. So become a dreamer also. So when you become a dreamer, when you are an actor and dreamer, you have so many responsibilities. So become a friend of your own, bring that self love, and then become a lover. When you become a lover, then everything is possible. And you become a lover when the light is there. When this शिवा का लाइट बोल सकते हैं मीरा जैसा प्यार कर लो किसी भी चीज से कर सकते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है.
Yeah, it could be anything. Thank you so much for sharing your understanding, your knowledge, and your thoughts on this. It was so lovely having you here.
Thank you
Thank
so much. And you are a so beautiful host. And Kalash, thank you so much. You had been talking to me since 3 months.
yeah.
And today we are here.
Yeah, thank you everyone who also came to listen today.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Sorry, Bhavna, we were trying to get you on after farm versities, then water versities happened.